Welcome here to the Gamma Project. My name is Justin McGuire. I'm here with Chris all the way from Bristol in the United Kingdom. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks for taking the time out to have a chat.
It's only my pleasure. How's it going with you so far? You've been on the project now this is the second week?
Yeah, second week. So really started enjoying it. Purely off the back of when we started, which was the 26th of December. Difficult time to really jump into something like this with the Christmas period. But I felt that my training and diet really needed a kick up the rear end. Kind of the best way to put it, I guess.
Well, I'll tell you what, your inflammatory markers in the morning, you guys out there, one of the processes with what our clients have an option to do, they don't have to do, is to send us a torso picture of themselves in the morning. Facing out to that, we do a little bit of evaluation. Now, Chris, yours, from day one to this morning, yesterday morning, not this morning, difference, huge. Like your face, your jawline coming up. You don't look. There's no dark circles coming out of your eyes anymore. You look a lot healthier.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, like I said, I think having that kind of science behind the training as well has definitely helped me kind of understand what I can and can't do at certain times. Whereas before I was kind of just going in, lifting as heavy as possible for 5 to 6 days straight, whereas my body probably wasn't in a position to be able to do that.
No, I think that's a very common recurring theme from a lot of people that have good ambition or good intention. Let me say good ambition and great intention of wanting to be healthier and look better in themselves. And in essence, when you look better, you feel better too psychologically. But I find that unfortunately, the underlying tone within industry is go hard or go home, right? There are days you can go hard, but there are days where you shouldn't, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should be going home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a little more of a clever way to go about it, just by instead of following, a program or a template program that just puts you into the ground, makes you tired for it. This kind of program makes you feel like you've accomplished something because you were able to get through it rather than completely annihilate it halfway through it.
Yeah, makes complete sense to me now. But like you say, before I was kind of going in and maybe doing things when my body was a bit too fatigued, perhaps. Now I kind of can understand it a little bit more in terms of long term as opposed to short term gains.
I think it's just the Western psychology behind the economics approach to anything in life, right? The way we work in corporations, or you guys work in corporations, they give you this idea of the more you put in, the more you get out. But there's a critical drop-off point with anything, even with your own mental cognition and the performance, when you're able to strategize, plan, and implement that plan for a good outcome, whether it be programming, whether it be an artist or a journalist, whatever it might be. Once you get to a certain point where you're just grinding out hours, and not qualitative hours, in essence, the person that's suffering is you as well as the business too. So it's unfortunate that people have the psychological element to their lives, because I think balance is the key factor here. And the best way to establish balance is just to know exactly where your tipping point is. So I think that's what the Gamma Project does. It gives you that little bit of understanding, because it changes, right? Like what day is the same in our lives? Well, how boring it must be. It was good to know. Awesome, Chris. Well, would you like to give us a shout on a few questions that you have?
Yeah, so there was a few questions that I've kind of got in mind. Particularly, the first one is with regards to my job. I do a lot of traveling, whether it be overseas or on the road. And sometimes it's really, really difficult to keep in line with food prepping and making sure that you're eating at the right times. So just wanted to get an understanding from you, I guess, how you could potentially do that, because I have been on the road. Service station life isn't fun. Whether you go into these stops to get a quick meal, they generally aren't geared to finding nutrition and protein. That's usually a quick sandwich or something along those lines. So just wanted to get your feedback on how you would do that. Would it just, you would prep it and eat it cold, or
Well, there's a couple of ways you can go about it. I think this question is quite commonly asked, and this is worded differently, but in the crux of it is, depends on where you are in terms of your goal and where you want to get to. So we have ambitions, you and I, to get you on stage probably by the end of this year. But in order to
yeah,
get in a position where your body is handling more calories without accumulating fat, and you're able to recover better from training, you've got to go through initial stages of just becoming more consistent with nutrient intake and getting the gut a bit healthier to handle nutrients. So having said that, you don't have to go to the extreme and be a fitness model or a bodybuilder or whatever it is straight off the bat and prepare all your food and put in all containers and Tupperwares and be militant about the whole process. Not at all. And quite to be honest with you, for the long run, it's not feasible. I mean, most people aren't going to sustain that for the rest of their lives. However, what you can take is an understanding to what constitutes a healthy option and what constitutes an unhealthy option. So if we think about a takeout, or we think about service stations, even in the service station, you'll find that there'll be a comparison between a relatively healthy and extremely unhealthy options. Now, 95% of the options are going to be extremely unhealthy as the nature of service stations, but you will get those 5% in the service station that could be of your benefit. Now, it's not to say that the foods in there, even the healthy options, are going to give you the exact macros and calories and everything else that you need. However, it's better getting better getting nutrients that are, sorry, calories that are more inclined to have nutrient density than calories that are more inclined to have just caloric density. All right. So refined food or processed foods have a higher concentration of caloric density and lower concentration of nutrient density, particularly food state nutrient density, whereas healthier options, more organic sources, will probably have less, for the most part, will have less calories and more nutrients. And I'm not saying calories are bad, calories actually help us to grow, but it's the nutrients behind the calories we concern ourselves with. So when you go to a gas station, more of the times than not, they're going to have nuts. They have nuts available, right? Or they'll have a green apples available, right? They'll have lots of water available too. And you're probably, that's about it that you're going to have. You can have loads of protein bars and stuff. Stay away from it. Like protein bars are money. You get all these different derivatives of so-called healthy organic protein bars.
yeah,
More honestly, like you're better off having an apple and a handful of nuts than eating a protein bar. Like, it's just not great for the body, particularly if you're trying to get healthier. But then again, it's a healthier option than having a Mars bar. Right? So there's always
really,
in other words, there's a hierarchy, right? So like your
yeah,
prime would be if you prepared the meals, and everything was in point, the calories were there, the macros were in the right ratios, and you had a little Tupperware, like a little militant fitness model, walking around the life. That's the top of that's like being the king of England, right? And then becoming
right, yeah,
an Earl, Duke, or Lord, or whatever would be like the next option below that, where you have greens powders that you take with you all the time. It's like a superfood organic-based green powder. There's one I used to use in the UK. I use different ones in South Africa. It's actually more organic than the UK one. There was one called Superfood Amazing Grass Greens. So, which is relatively cost effective, more expensive. It's from California and it's completely organic, non GMOs in there, and it has a whole multitude of superfood phytonutrients in it. And that's really important to get these type of supplements into your regime if you aren't able to sustain complete nutrient dense meals throughout the day, which for the most part in the modern day world is very hard to do, particularly like yourself on the road, working odd end positions in the world, not always at home, but you're traveling. Utilize a strategy by having a good base greens, organic greens powder. So it's going to give you a lot of phytonutrients to help you with antioxidant support. Second to that is probiotics. Okay, now any good quality probiotic needs to be refrigerated. Right? So you can keep it out the fridge for a small period of time. So in other words, when you're in transit, going to another country, another town, you take it with you, but as soon as you get into your hotel room or in your office, stack them into the fridge. But probiotics are your first line of defense toward better gut health, and better gut health comes better nutrient assimilation. So to understand that you're in an environment where your nutrient assimilation isn't going to be optimal because the environment doesn't allow it to be optimal, whether it be work commitments, family commitments, just this what is actually available around you. You need to make sure your gut is as healthy as possible to absorb any nutrient. So just remember, the small intestine is responsible for 90% of our nutrient absorption. Right? If you were able to lay out the brush border of the small intestine, which is the size of a small tennis court, well, we can cause a lot of havoc to the digestive system, particularly the stomach, the liver, and the gallbladder. And the small intestine only has an absorption rate of, say, a table instead of a tennis court. So you can imagine what that impact would have on your endocrine system and your entire physiology. Okay, so probiotics and greens, take those with you. Very, very important. And then the hierarchy options. So you have your meal prep. After your meal prep, you have the best option available. So organic sources, things like nuts that haven't been roasted and salted first, but then after that, roasted and salted. So go for the plain ones first. You can get them. If you can't get them, go for roasted and salted. Never ever go without anything. All right?
Yeah.
Worst thing you could do is allow your blood sugar to become completely displaced. Particularly if you're on a work and you're under a lot of pressure to perform, you use a lot of energy for your brain, and you decide, okay, there's nothing to eat, I'm just not going to eat at all. You're going to release a lot of stress hormone that's going to impact your digestive system once again. So you want to really keep your catecholamine or your cortisol modulation at bay. You don't want it to become exacerbated where you're just having that sensitivity to certain hormones or nutrient assimilation and absorption, and all that's happening is your adrenals are just taking a massive knock, affecting a huge multitude of systems from the thyroid to the cardiovascular system too. So always have some, right? Even if you have to resort to having a chocolate, not that I'm advocating going out and having Mars bars, better to have that than have nothing at all. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that kind of leads on to one of my other questions is that I've always struggled to eat, whether it be 2,000 calories or 2,500 calories. I sometimes struggle to do that. I mean, is there kind of a recommendation? Because obviously sometimes you can feel full, and sometimes my day kind of takes over a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So this is also, once again, a very common problem. All these issues that you have, Chris, I myself have had them. Most of the clients, including athletes and office workers that I've helped over the years, have had. And the reason why we find it difficult at times to consume the amount of calories we should consume is because we have an abundance of stress hormones circulating in our system. Now, stress hormone management comes about through improper sleep, lifestyle habits, poor levels of exercise, and so on, but can also be reversed by those exact same factors. All right. One of the first things that you notice that I introduce is drinking a liter of water when you wake up in the morning. All right. Having a glass of water, or 2 glasses, 3 glasses. Start with a glass, work your way up to a liter. Okay. And the reason for that, it allows the body to become more hydrated. And when you're more hydrated, the body requires less stress hormone to mobilize water attached to glucose molecules, which is what happens when it stores into glycogen in the cells. So hydration is key. Second to hydration is stress modulating adaptogens like holy basil, minerals like magnesium and zinc, which we incorporate into your plan, they really help to reestablish adrenal balance so that you're not overutilizing your cortisol systems or your stress systems, but you rather have utilizing the right gastric endocrine function for your digestion. Now, those are the 4 steps. Now, that's to get the body better balanced with stress, but then you're still going to have the impact of having stress come through your body for quite a few months or years prior to starting the process. How do you get the nutrients in your stomach, eating the nutrients? Well, this is also a reason why I normally advocate that people start off with a high-fat, low-carb diet. And you shouldn't sustain it forever because there's no diet that is attainable for the rest of your life. The body changes, so should your diet change too. But a high-fat, low-carbohydrate regime has calories that are more dense and a small, because fat is far more dense in a small unit. Whereas you think about carbohydrates, it's far greater volume of food with less calories. All right, but healthy fat has a lot of essential fatty acids that help the cell membrane, help the small intestine. Once again, help just to ease the system's inflammatory processes and immune reactions too. So, by incorporating things like greens powders, if you can't actually get in greens, which are first and foremost always better off eating greens than drinking greens powders. I know a lot of guys out there that are so lazy and childish. We all sometimes can become children when it comes to our vegetables, right? Greens, powders, don't eat them. No, it's not going to work. Like, it can work to a certain point, but if you really want to get to the optimal position where your body is capable of going, you've got to eat organic vegetables. It's very important, right? If you can't stand eating them initially, because if we can't stomach the taste of cruciferous vegetables, especially, it's generally due to a lack of folate. Okay? Now, which is kind of a little bit of a funny scenario because there is a lot of active folate in cruciferous vegetables as well. But because we don't have enough of it stored, we can't stomach assimilating it. Okay?
Yeah.
So what you could do is utilize things like watercress as a salad green first. We'll do that for cruciferous vegetables, stomach green. You can have asparagus, celery, so on and so forth. You can blend. You can blend your vegetables initially just to get in the nutrients, to get used to it, because it's far easier and there's far less time consuming a blended greens and eating it. So once you get, it's funny, like initially it tastes horrible if you're not used to it. I love the taste of vegetables, but I never used to vegetables when I was a kid, because as a kid, I grew up with white bread sandwiches, a packet of crisps, and a small little chocolate bar. Right? Well, which is, I think, our era. That's what we went with, right? And don't forget all the scrupulous amounts of full sugar Coca-Cola. So our taste, which is one of our main senses, became desensitized or hyperpolarized. All right, that's a big fancy word as being overly used or overly aware. Okay? So the neurons from the brain sense the taste of food or whatever it might be, liquids or drink, become desensitized because they're overworked. The funny thing about that, if you were to do a pull-up, and you were to do your 5 repetitions of a pull-up, and it just notes like the perceived level of difficulty you may have had in doing those 5 repetitions. And then just take a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar, not even the full teaspoon, and try to get the full stretch of your muscle and the full contraction that you had in the previous step. I can guarantee you will struggle 50 to 50%, maybe a little bit less, not much less than that in your following step thereafter. Okay, and the reason for that is, yes, sugar can increase performance, but it can also increase excitability and hyperpolarity of the neurons, which causes hypertonicity in muscle tissue.
Yeah.
So that's what taste does. All right, but we need to get that taste back in working order. So how do we do it? We do it gradually. Right? Instead of trying to do a 180-degree turn, which most people, when they try to do that, they crash after a January, and they go back to the old ways of eating and living because they try to do too much. So I had a conversation with one of the other guys, and he was really despondent because he couldn't do this and that. I said, don't worry about that. Like, I want you to know what you did do. All right, there are a lot more things that you did do that you didn't do. It's not about getting it right the first time round, because even when you do have it right, so after a while, you still going to get it wrong every once in a while. Everyone does. You're human, and thankfully for that. So, acknowledge the things you do right, and don't spend too much time on the things that you don't do right. But also, in the things that the mistakes that you make, just evaluate why you made the mistake, rather than taking on the subjective essence of that mistake. You be objective about it. Say, okay, I got this wrong. There's an environment. I created an environment for myself where I didn't have food available, the right type of food available. Or I created an environment for myself where I knew I was going to go to a meeting for 5 hours and I didn't take a bottle of water with me and I became dehydrated. So what am I going to do next time around? I'll make sure to take 1.5 liters to 2 liters of bottled water with me before going into a long-term meeting. So you become a bit more self-aware and present in your life rather than just being a drone following a through. And that's what the Gamma Project's all about. What I don't want is anybody just to rely on me for the rest of their lives. I want to empower you through education to understand what your body should and shouldn't do and as to why. And not just about the objective why, but the subjective why, how it makes you feel. So when it comes to meals, again, look at your hierarchy. Right at the bottom, you have trans fats, things like crisps. Just slightly above that, but kind of the same category, you can have refined sugar. And then you're going to have sugar-free substances like that have aspartame and so on in it. They're really bad as well. And then you'll have things like breads and glutens and pastas. And then you're going to have more wholesome foods like rice, potato, vegetables, good protein sources, and just in between that are the right type of fruits. An abundance of tropical fruits, slightly a little bit lower because it has a higher volume of fructose, which is not a problem if you're able to assimilate that. But if your body, if you say, now, very important note, Chris, if your appetite is blunted, it means that your blood sugar is elevated past the point where it should be during the course of the day. And the reason why that happens is you're releasing too much stress hormone that modulates the release of blood sugar. Okay? So when your blood sugar is more stable throughout the day, your appetite will increase. You'll be a little more hungry, not starving, don't worry, but you'll be a bit hungrier. Note when to eat and when not to eat.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that kind of covers and leads on quite nicely again. I think one of the things that I've always struggled with is my trunk area, losing that initial, I guess, puppy fat, whatever you want to call it. And I have been recommended a few times to go and do stool sampling to find out exactly what is the situation within my gut, what lies there. I was told that there's up to 4 kilos of bacteria, bad bacteria that could potentially live there, that may be affecting the ability to kind of shred that way. So I don't know, I mean, is that purely diet? I mean, would you recommend something like that, a stool sample test?
You see, I do recommend
what's going on?
If you're able to afford it, see, I don't work for what I do on the Gamma Project. I work with clients of very basic scientific daily objective markers, but a lot of clients don't have the financial resources to go do a full comprehensive functional blood chemistry screen or a stool sample. But you can. It will make a huge difference to the process of how we can apply the correct type of supplementation as well as the right type of diet to eliminate any possible overgrowth of unwanted bacteria. If you can do it, I would definitely suggest it. However, just going back to your question about visceral fat around the midsection. Visceral fat around the midsection is the reason why we accumulate visceral fat. Our organs have the greatest amount of blood supply coming to them. Right? And tissue around our organs that have an excessive amount of sugar in their blood supply are going to cause an anabolism of fat cells. So when we start to monitor, when we start to regulate our blood sugar, so we don't have an excess amount of glucose present, we're less likely to create an anabolic environment for fat growth. Okay, so this is going to help to potentiate more fat loss, because when you're training, it doesn't matter how hard you train, you probably notice guys who are, let's take, for example, comparison of different types of world's strongest men. Mariusz Pudzianowski, remember him?
Yeah.
He looked amazing, looked great. And then you take, who's the Romanian guy that came after him? Not Romanian, the Lithuanian.
Yeah, I know.
Something Zericus.
Yes.
I apologize for this for him. Sorry, I just remember Mariusz. He looked even though he wasn't as strong as that guy. I'm a fan of his body. But the difference is they were both great athletes. But one was actually stronger than Mariusz. However, why did he look the way he did? Genetic factors and epigenetic reactions, sure. But Mariusz Pudzianowski also took a huge amount of time into research of nutrition and strategies behind optimizing his performance. He had loads of panels of doctors and nutritionists helping him along the process. I'm not sure if I did or didn't, but it's very clear to see that athletes that take initiative to control their stress and their blood sugar have leaner compositions than those who simply go and just perform hard. And same with you. You can go to the gym and you can train 5 or 6 sessions a week. But if your blood sugar isn't regulated, you won't lose body fat around the visceral area. Or you might lose a little bit. But you'll never get to the six-pack look that you want. And you're never going to get to the point where you just feel light in yourself. You're always going to have congested amount of fat around your organ. It'd be hard to get rid of unless you get to a point of regulating your blood sugar throughout the day. There's a few things that can affect that. Bacterial overgrowth is a very big factor, because that can cause more food sensitivities to even healthy food to occur. And food sensitivities cause an immune reaction, which causes inflammation. And inflammation releases more blood sugar, which once again compounds the possible scenario, anabolism. So we'll be able to get rid of the visceral fat. We haven't really started. I don't know if you noticed in the pictures, it's already started going down a hell of a lot. But it's not going down because of a huge degree of training. You're probably training less now than you were before. It's going down now because, firstly, the right implementation of the type of supplementation, not just throwing like a huge amount of, rip and prime, alpha, testosterone, male. The names they give these supplements sometimes is quite comical. Everything's alpha. We're playing to the insecurity of men. That's why I love the name Gamma, because Gamma is about balance, and Alpha is just extreme. Nothing good comes from being extreme, believe me. It really doesn't.
No.
Enjoy life a lot more with balance and calm. So, we just need. We already started to reestablish blood sugar control. You're drinking more water. You're cutting back on stimulant intake from caffeine. You're having more cortisol modulating supplements and minerals, and you're eating more regularly now than you were before. Even though you're still struggling a little bit here, today you're still getting to a better habit of understanding what is good and what isn't.
Yeah.
But this also comes down to why this works. Not only for me, because I'm on the Gamma project too, even though I'm running it behind the scenes, I answer to someone as well. The reason why it works is because there's an essence of accountability to a community of people. And when you become more accountable, you have to self-reflect. And we all think, how many times have I asked a client when they sign up to me, how's your diet? No, my diet's okay, my diet's good. And then we break that down, and we find out that they haven't had any nutrients come into their body, apart from a meal every other day. And most of the food that they consider to be healthy is processed food, things like sandwiches or pastas, with a little bit of a salad on the side. Because it's got a little bit of a salad on the side, it must be healthy. Because there's a blade of lettuce in a sandwich, it must be healthy. But the reality is it's not. So I think accountability makes a big difference, because it's not about judgment. Not at all. Like, we just came up with Christmas call, and half of my clients were very upfront and honest with me about their alcohol consumption and their body habits that they're partaking. It's not about judgment, but reestablishing the best type of equilibrium after, the onslaught of toxins coming through to the body. And be under no illusion that bread, gluten, especially gluten in the modern day world, is a form of toxin. It's processed. And it's toxic to the body. Not toxic to the corporate machine and profit, but definitely toxic to us. So it's very, let's not be so toxic over here, and let them be a little more toxic within their own financial portfolios when we stop eating all their processed additives and what have you.
Yeah, I'm sure they have all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. More than we could talk about in 10-year lifetimes.
Yeah. One of the other things that I did want to ask, with regards to some of the exercises within Metcon 1, right through to all the Metcons that you kind of have been sending over along with the stretching. Now, I've played soccer or football for the last, I guess, almost 30 years of my life. And now that I've kind of reduced playing football, I've really noticed the difference to my body and how much of a beating it actually took to my body. I had a period of dislocating my shoulder and stupidly never got it fixed and would dislocate my shoulder 2 or 3 times every game. But now I'm realizing that there's a stiffness here and a stiffness in my groin, my hip flexors, and my abductors. I'm trying to do things like a pancake, and I'm always been trying to push myself every morning to see how much more flatter I can get. But I guess that kind of comes with time. So I just wondered if you had any more tips or things that I can do to kind of release I guess it's not tight, it is tightness, but I guess lack of the use of those muscles over time, because I have committed to playing football for such a long time.
Of course. Well, you got to understand, when the body goes into a state of hypertonicity, which is what happens what your environment, which you explained a moment ago, with playing football and having played football for so many years, not being aware of how tight certain things were, and then backing off and then becoming very aware of it. That's called hypertonicity, and most athletes will perform in the state of what we call compensation to have maximal performance. And there's nothing wrong with that, so long as it is monitored and managed to the point where it doesn't become detrimental to either an injury or to the onset of an injury, or for the purpose of breakdown within one's physiology, excessive amount of stress. So once you start to reduce the amount of compensation, you'll find that circulation to other muscles that are becoming inhibited due to excessive compensation in a certain line, or the human body is like a modern day blood pressure. You have cables that hold up struts. Okay, our skeletal system being the strut, cables being the muscle tissue and connective tissue. Now, if you can imagine Leaning Tower of Pisa, if there was a modern day building, modern ancient building, and we had cables, one side of the cables would be a lot shorter than the others. Right? Kind of what happens with a dysfunctional body is that certain elements will be tighter and more rigid, others will be more subluxed. Now, when you start to reduce gravitational pull of a Leaning Tower of Pisa, and you're able to put it back into a nice neutral alignment, those cables are going to take a bit of time to settle the tension between each other, which is why the stretching protocol is so important. And utilizing breath, engaging the central nervous system's response to the periphery is vital. But not only is the practicality of the right type of exercise or the right type of recovery protocol imperative, so too is your nutrition, because the amount of excitation coming from your brain to your body, to efferent, will be highly dependent on the nutritional status of the body. So excessive amounts of sodium intake, excessive amounts of sugar intake, of stimulants like caffeine will cause a heightened dopamine response. And dopamine and serotonin, they're lovely neurotransmitters, they're very cool. One causes feelings of happiness and calm, the other one causes pleasure and drive. So and one actually affects the sensitivity of the other. So they're symbiotic. However, when one becomes more dominant, the other one becomes more sluggish. So you can see this you look at scientists, people with a high IQ, they have generally got a higher tendency toward dopamine dominance. They're always a little more depressed in nature. Not always, should we say, let me rephrase that. At times they can be more depressed in nature. And that's just due to an imbalance of neurotransmitters. Right? What we don't want is that imbalance, because when our neurotransmitters become imbalanced, so too does our stress hormone or our adrenal system become imbalanced as well, which will cause tissue to become tight, which not tight, and other tissues become completely inhibited to the point where dystrophy occurs into the tissue itself.
So I guess it's all about time with something along those lines.
It is like what you're doing right now. So what you just explained to me is like, you asked me a question, like, what can you do to help improve it? You're doing it right now. Because if you think about it, where you just a moment ago, you mentioned that your range is improving in the past.
I go down a degree every kind of day when I'm doing it. So I guess
exactly what you need to do to release the tension. Massage helps as well. I'm a big believer in sports massage therapy and acupuncture. I think if you get a practitioner that knows how to do it, it is worth its weight in gold. There are other type of therapies out there that are also really good. There's so many, I can't even start to name them. However, the essence of it is you just want to create a bit more relaxation in the body where it's tense. The way we do it is we increase oxygen transport to that tissue. We increase blood flow to that tissue and away from that tissue. And by doing so, we increase nutrient assimilation around that tissue.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes complete sense.
Awesome.
Kind of answered all the questions I needed to answer within a lot of the questions, actually. So really appreciate the kind of feedback on those.
This is only a pleasure of mine to do this. I absolutely love the fact that you're doing so well in such a short span of time. I had a guy send me his picture this morning, which we posted up on social media, and how well he's done. He's got dropped down 9% body fat in 7 weeks. And he's done it without having to deprive his life. He hasn't gone on a crazy, white fish and green vegetables diet to do it. For me, it gives me so much joy to know that the science is working, and also that people are becoming more confident in themselves. So, just want to finish with something else. I think the biggest problem that we have in the fitness industry is that, unfortunately, professionals like yourself that have a profession in what is your profession? Sorry, Chris.
Is software.
Okay, so you're probably going to be very dopamine dominant, right? So we need to get you some more tryptophan and 5-MT or 5-THF, so we can just modulate the response a bit more. HDF. So what the problem is, though, however, is a lack of understanding or education to what a perceived quality is, right? So there are a lot of guys in the industry who are very much bro science. I hate the word bro science, but it is bro science, where they take their own experience, and because it worked for them, they apply it to everybody else. It's going to work for them. And the fact of the matter is, that's not how the human race was designed. We're all very different for a purpose, and we're all capable of different things as well. And that needs to be respected. Because there's this underlying idea about, if I go to a gym and I see a trainer, I'm going to have a six-pack in 3 months. So 12-week transformations are everywhere. Everything is done in 12 weeks. I swear, if if God was a personal trainer, he would have created the world in 12 weeks. All right? It's ridiculous. Yes, you can change your body a lot in 12 weeks, but it's not about the process of getting a six-pack at the detriment of your health. Because you can lose body fat by depriving yourself of calories, sure. You can lose a lot of muscle at the same time. You can also compromise your immune system. And more importantly, you can also compromise your psychological health. So when you come off of all the deprivation and the extreme volume of training, you're not going to sustain it. I mean, who wants to sustain a work camp life? No one wants to be a slave to the looking good. You want to look good as a byproduct of having a healthy life. So this, in short, I think it's that everybody is expectant of a short-term fix. And questions like what you asked now before, like I get asked this all the time. What can I do to improve this range of motion? What can I do to, well, what you can do is be patient and be persistent with gradual effort every day, and allow and watch the magical process of tension unveil, and your muscle be really more responsive. So it's not a, it's a classical case of the tortoise and the hare. Who gets to the finish line first? All right, or who enjoys the race? More importantly, the hare sees anything when it's running by. When the tortoise sees the surroundings, like, yeah, this is a cool ride. I'm happy. So it's just about being aware, like the tortoise is aware of his environment, creating the right route to take toward your destination. And if an obstacle comes in the way, you go moving slowly enough to understand how to move around it.
Makes complete sense. And for somebody that has quite a small patience threshold, that can be a challenge. But I think something like this for myself certainly kind of aligns my psyche and my mental kind of attributes to ensuring that I can stick to it.
Just focus on the short term right now. So all I want you to really focus on for me going forward now is in the morning, getting an optimal blood sugar and trying to aim for optimal heart rate variability. And how we're going to do that is by good diet, good recovery, and balanced training. Not excessive. There will be days your programs will be tough. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely not a yogi instructor, which I have a lot of respect for those guys. And actually, yoga is pretty tough if you're hypertonic. If you're in a state of hypertension, yoga is probably the hardest workout you'll do. For most bodybuilders, doing yoga is excruciating because they're extremely hypertonic. But I'm here to push you hard when your body's capable of being pushed hard. And I'm also here to incorporate recovery and back off when it needs to be backed off. And that will only be a sort with you and how you eat, how you move, and how you perceive things. And this is why this experience works so well. Just to give you a bit of a grounding of what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you certainly came with good recommendation from one of the other clients you're kind of dealing with, or two of the guys, Tommy and Tom. I know them quite well. I've been training with Tommy for last year or so, and he kind of recommended me to kind of get in touch with yourself to take it to the next level. And I know he's doing the same. So yeah, so
he's such a good trainer. What's great about Tommy and Tom is that both of them are very calm and very patient, and that's why it makes them more aware. That's how you tell when a trainer is a good trainer or not trainer. The trainer that's barking and shouting at a client and making noise just to gain some type of stress response from the client, that's the worst type of trainer. Okay?
Yeah.
The guys you see on The Biggest Loser, sorry, not all the trainers on The Biggest Loser are bad, but the sensationalism you see on The Biggest Loser, where like, come on, you can do it, and the person's bucking in every which direction apart from going straight, that's a bad trainer. Okay? The trainer that's a bit more calm and collected is looking at your posture, not giving you 100 cues every single rep you do, but giving you a cue at a time, or stopping you entirely when you see that this is not right for your central nervous system to orchestrate the right type of response. That is a quality trainer. And that's what Tom and Tommy are. Quality trainers because they're patient and they're calm.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% on that one. But yeah, it's been fun. I think you nailed all the questions that I had. So
very happy. Chris, shall we book in another Zoom call next week sometime?
Yeah, absolutely.
would you email me and let me know what your availability is, and I can schedule it in for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'll send you some good dates for myself, because diary is now starting to fill back up now that we're past the Christmas and New Year break. So I think there may be a little trip to Hong Kong in the next few weeks as well, which will be interesting.
Yeah, like now the fact that you know that Hong Kong is going to be a bit of a challenge, utilize the tools that you have at your disposal, which right now you have myself to be able to guide your process toward what strategy before even going to Hong Kong. All right. So what you don't want to do is get on the airplane without being prepared.
Yeah, no, agreed.
That's just like going into war naked. And unless you're Helen of Troy, you ain't gonna win the war.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you go to war naked and win it. Us dudes ain't got a chance. All right. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Thank you very much, Chris. I really appreciate your time. To you guys out there, schedule in for more YouTube videos on interesting questions and topics along your journey to becoming healthier, happier, and most important of all, balanced. Take care. Have a good day.